This is Souleymane Thiam from PH4H Catalyst. So welcome to our second webinar in Gazelle. So today's webinar, the objective of today's webinar is to give you the registration status of the list of participants and which participant will participate on which track. After that, I will introduce you the Gazelle test plan you will execute next week in Bogota. And also, if you need to do some preparatory testing, we will discuss on it. But for this year, no preparatory test to do before the event. But probably you will have some task to do, but we will discuss on it when I will talk about the test plan. After that, we will discuss about the daily event objective because we have 3 days of testing. And we will guide you and tell you which test to start during the first day, how many tests to do during the second days also, and the last day also. The objective is to help you to execute all the tests before the end of the event. And at the end of the presentation, if you have any question, we'll open the question and answer. So if you have any question, please feel free to ask. Concerning the registration status, this year we have 17 countries, and all countries will take part to both tracks. So track 1, cross-border continuity of care, and track 2, digital vaccination certificate. So in Gazelle, based on the information you provide to us during the registration period, all of these countries will take part to will test both track 1 and track 2. So this is the list, and I will share the slide afterwards. And yeah, all countries are here. Concerning the test plan, as I said, this year we have two tracks to test. But we'll not ask you to test each track in one test. Let me explain you. In Gazelle, we will divide the test plan in several test cases. Okay, and the goal is to achieve all the test cases before the end of the event. And if you execute all the tests before the end of the event, that means you will cover both track of the event. So the TC means test case. So the first test case you will execute next week in Bogota will be the test case on PDQM, patient demographic query for mobile. And the objective is the objective of this test for the country is to each country need to demonstrate the ability to find a patient by querying the patient demographic information. It means you have to send the ITI 78 from your system to the Gazelle MPI in order to retrieve some patient. And this test will be executed 3 times. Why 3 times? Because you need to prepare your data set for 3 different patients. 2 patients will be used for the track 1, and 1 patient will be used to test the track 2. That's why this test is important. And after that, after the TC1, test case 1, you can switch to the test case 2 and 3. The test case 2, each country, the test case 2 is mandatory for each country. And each country needs to demonstrate the ability to send the ITI 101 from their system to terminology server. The test case 3, that's almost the same, but the transaction is different. It's ITI 98 of the profile SVCM. And the test case 3 is not mandatory. So it's up to you. You will decide if you will execute it or not. So you will see in Gazelle the description of the test. If you feel ready, your system is ready, so you can execute it. Otherwise, it's not mandatory. After the test case 1, 2, and 3, so you will be able to build your IPS document. So now we will ask you in the test case 4 to create your IPS LAC first with all resources you need. And once you create your IPS document, will provide you in the test description, will tell you which validator to use in EVS client to validate that document. So once that document is validated, now we will ask you in the test case to share your IPS LAC in the Gazelle samples list. It will allow the others country, if they would like to validate your IPS, they can go to Gazelle in the samples list, they can pick your IPS document and test it. So in this test, globally, we ask you to create your IPS document based on the information you have in the TC2 and TC1. And after that, you will use EVS client to test your IPS document. And after that, you can share your IPS document to the others participants. This is globally how we proceed last year during the Conectaton. That's exactly the same test. And after that, once you finish with the test case 4, now you have the test case 5. In the test case 5, you will create your IPS vaccination with the immunization resource. And the process is the same also, but the validator will be different. You will use the DVC validator available in Gazelle to validate your IPS vac if it's okay. So now you can share it to the others participants. So once you create your both IPS LAC and IPS vac, so now you need to execute TC6 or TC7, one of these two. And you need to execute at least one of them. So you can execute TC6 is the execution of the transaction ITI 65 to post your IPS LAC document in the file server with Mediator. Okay, so you can do it with Mediator, or otherwise you can do it without Mediator. That's the test case number 7. And the goal of this test, as I said, is to publish or to post your IPS LAC and your IPS VAC in your file server, the file server of your country. So that means this test need to be executed 3 times for the three patients you create in the test case 1 and 2. So as you can see, there are some dependencies between all of these tests, and you need to follow step by step this order. So this is for ITI 65, and now you can switch to the ITI 68. ITI 68, you can send a transaction from your system on the test to another file server of another country to find document reference. Okay, so this is the TC8, and the TC9, you can send also a transaction from your system on the test to another file server of another country to retrieve their IPS LAC or their IPS vaccination. So this is TC8 and TC9, and after that, now you can in the TC10 you can now retrieve one IPS LAC of the other country. For example, I can take the IPS LAC of Uruguay, for example, and now the goal of this test is to see if I can upload the IPS LAC of Uruguay, if I can view the content, if I can read the content of the resources. So this is the goal of the TC test case 10, and now test case 11. So now you will the country have to show the ability to how to say, yeah, to generate the VHL, the verifiable health link QR code based on the IPS LAC they create in the test case number 4. Okay. So that document they will generate the VHL QR based on their IPS LAC, and then they will provide a QR code, and then they will publish also that QR code in the Gazelle sample list. In case the other country need to scan your QR code, they will pick it in the that QR code will be available in the Gazelle samples list also. So once you generate the VHL QR from your IPS LAC, so now you can retrieve the VHL QR. So for these two tests, the tool you will use, it can be when I discuss with Carlos, Pablo, and Fernando, you have two choices. You can use the tool developed by another team and the tool developed by LACPASS. But in my understanding, you will use the LACPASS tool to generate and retrieve the verifiable health link. So this is for TC10, TC11, and TC12. So now once you achieve all of these tests, now you can switch to the TC13. In the TC13, will ask you to demonstrate the ability, the country has to demonstrate the ability to generate one or more valid QR code for a patient immunization resource. So that means the IPS VAC you create in your previous test in the test case numbers 5, you need to transform that IPS VAC in the QR code. So after that QR code, you need to use the WHO Universal Verifier to validate that QR code if it's okay or not. If it's okay, so now you can share the sample with the other country in the Gazelle sample list. And the last step is to pick the QR code of the other country in order to check if you can validate their QR code. It looks like, for example, what we did last year with DDCC and 2 years ago in Chile on DCC. The goal of this test is to see if, for example, you have a patient coming from another country, they come to your country, if you will be able to scan and validate the QR code of that country. That's the goal of the last test. And this is globally, in total, you have 15 tests. But some of the tests, you have to execute it 2 times, 3 times with two different patients, 2 different data sets, and so on. Anyway, in which test will tell you how many, Gazelle will tell you how many times to execute the test. So this is, we will share you this tab, and you have the profile, the test description in Gazelle, the objective of each test, the recommendation, how many times you need to execute it, and also the type of the test. Okay, in the type of the test, we have 2 types. No peer test, that means you will test with your file server or you will test with Gazelle simulator. You don't have any partner to test with on this test, okay? So if it's peer-to-peer, it's totally different. Peer-to-peer means you need to test with another country. For example, if I take the example of the test case number 10, use consume IPS LAC. So that means the country A has to test the IPS LAC of the country B. So this is a peer-to-peer. We have 2 different systems that are testing together. So globally, this is how it looks like. If we divide the test cases in the diagram provided by Carlos, Pablo, and Fernando, the test case 1, you can find it here between your system and the Gazelle MPI. The TC2, TC3 between your system and the terminology server. TC4, you need to create the valid IPS document and test that document in Gazelle. Once it's okay, you need to execute either the TC6 or TC7 to push that document in your file server. After that, you have the TC8 and TC9. TC8 and TC9 are the transaction ITI 67 and 68. And after that, you can switch to the VHL part, the TC10, TC11, and TC12. So this is how globally we divide the test cases for the first track. In the second track, that's exactly almost the same. TC1 is your system and the Gazelle MPI to send the PDQM transaction. TC2, TC3 between your system and the terminology server. Then based on the information you collect on this test, you'll be able to create your IPS VAC and test the content in Gazelle. And after that, you can push that IPS VAC in your file server. That's the ITI, the test, this TC7 and TC6 to push the document in your file server. And after that, you can go to the transformation of the IPS VAC in the QR code and validate also the others country QR code. So globally, all of these tests are divided as it is. So in this slide, I explained just what is no peer test. No peer test in Gazelle, for each no peer test, Gazelle will provide you which simulator to use. If you have to use, for example, the MPI, Gazelle will tell you where to find the MPI. It will give you the link of the MPI in the test description, how to send the transaction between your system and the simulator, the MPI, how to perform the validation by using a Gazelle EVS client, and how to collect your evidence in the Gazelle test management tool. Okay, so this is globally how the no-P test will go on next week. After that, you have the peer-to-peer tests. As I said, peer-to-peer test, you have one country, in Bogota, the first thing to do is to go to Gazelle Test Management to read their test plan. Once they read their test plan, so they will be able to select any partner for a test, for example. I will show you afterwards in Gazelle. So select my country partner to execute one test, one peer-to-peer test. If it's just to consume their IPS VAC or IPS LAC, so the transaction between both countries will be null. But there is no physical transaction, but there is a transaction, but it's not a physical transaction. It's not a request you will send from your system to another system, but it's an interoperability testing because you consume the document of another country. So it's still a peer-to-peer. But if, for example, we give the example of MHG, for example, you would like to send the ITI 68 from your system in order to retrieve the IPS VAC or IPS LAC of the country B. So this is a physical transaction. So you need to send a query from your system to the system of your country partner. So if it's the physical transaction, physical query, real query you send, in Gazelle we will place the proxy, and the proxy will help to catch the request message and then the response message sent back by the country bin. So that means in the proxy, for this test, you will be able to retrieve the request you send and the response you send, and also validate from the proxy. You can call the validator to validate the message and then provide the evidence to the monitors. So globally, this is how the process of the peer-to-peer test works. So in the peer-to-peer test also, just to explain you that in the middle of both, as you can see in the previous slide, in the middle of both country, we have the proxy, okay? But the proxy we will configure the proxy to tell the proxy that the country A, if they want to send a transaction to the country B, in the proxy, we will ask the country A to send it to the port address we assign to the country B. So that means the country A, they will send the message to the Gazelle proxy by using the IP address of the proxy and then the port. Once the message comes in the proxy will be able for the country B. Or this message is for the country C or country D, depending to the configuration we provide. So that means that's why in the TC1, you will use, in the TC1, you will test with the Gazelle MPI. So between the Gazelle MPI, we will provide the proxy in the middle. So that means you send your message to the proxy, and proxy will forward the request message to the MPI. The MPI will respond, and then the proxy will forward you the response message. So all countries in Bogota will interact. They will not interact directly with the MPI, okay? But they will interact with the Gazelle proxy. They will send their request to this port. This is the port address we assign to all to all countries, and this is the IP address of the proxy. This is the host name. So all the transaction you can perform the test before coming to Bogota next week. You can perform the test tomorrow or this week, and you can test by sending some PGQM transaction to this port to check if you can reach out the proxy port or not. So once the proxy receive the message from this IP address, it will forward it to the MPI. So from the proxy, that means you can, from your IP address, because you send your query from your IP address by using your IP address, and in the proxy, you can search your request and your response message by using your IP address. I will show you in Gazelle in a few minutes. So for the PC test case number 2 and test case number 3, you will test the terminology server. okay, the ITI 101. And for this test, we receive the terminology server of each country, Argentina and Bahamas and all the country, except Uruguay. So we'll check afterwards what's happened with Uruguay. But we receive all of these terminology server of these countries. So for each country, we assign them a proxy port also. Okay, so that means during the event, when, for example, I would like to send a message to Bahamas. Suppose I would like to send the message to Bahamas. I will send the message to by using the proxy AP address and then the proxy port, and then the proxy will forward the message to this terminology server, the terminology server of Bahamas. But in order to forward the message to the terminology server of Bahamas, I need to make sure that in my query, I send the query to this port, the 11022 to reach Bahamas terminology server. That's the same for Colombia. It's 11027. That's the port we assign them. So if you want to send a query to Colombia for TC2 and TC3, you need to use this port address and the proxy will forward it to Colombia terminology server. That's also the same for the file server. So the file server is mostly for MHD testing, TC6, TC7, TC8, and TC9. We have all file server of all countries, and then we already assigned them the port. Anyway, we'll share you this list next week during the event. So before I switch to the calendar, let me just go to Gazelle and show you how it looks like. This one. Okay, so now I connect to Gazelle test management. So now during the event, this is where you can find your test plan. This is this button, test execution. And when you select test execution, you have normally by default, the name of your organization will be selected here. So let's suppose I am from this country. So now you select your organization. So now if you want to find the TC1, for example, you would like to start by TC1. Normally you should start by TC1. TC1 is in the test case. Let me show. Okay, TC1 is in the profile PDQM. Okay, so now I can search by PDQM profile, and when you select PDQM profile, you can see the TC1. Okay, TC1 is a no-field test, so you don't need to select any partner. So I can go and click directly on this button. So this is the name of the simulator. Yeah, that's the PDQM simulator. So we need to configure the PDQM simulator, and then you'll be able to execute your test. So this is an OP test. This is TC1. Okay. So now let's suppose I would like to execute a peer-to-peer test. So let me select any peer-to-peer test. It's TC10, for example. Okay. So TC10 is in the IPS profile. Okay. So let me select IPS profile, like IPS. And like IPS, I can see the TC10 use consume IPS LAC. So now let's suppose I would like to execute the test. So Gazelle will ask me to select the creator. Okay, I would like to consume one IPS document. Gazelle will tell me, okay, which IPS document you would like to upload in your system. So you can click on the plus button, and Gazelle will propose you that this list. It will tell you, okay, Brazil, they create one IPS lag. Costa Rica, they create one IPS lag. Peru, Belize, which country do you like to test with? So I can select Uruguay, for example, and click on add selected partner and click on play. So Gazelle will create a test instance. The test instance is very, very important because in your report, each test you execute will have a reference. So for example, the test I'm executing right now, the unique reference is 893. Okay, so in your report, you will be able to find this reference that say, okay, in this reference, you execute this test, TC10, and this test you are testing with the Uruguay IPS LAC. okay, the URI IPS LAC. And if you go down, you can the monitors will be able to see the evidence you provide in this test, and so on. So once you execute the test with URI, so now you can update the test, the status of the test, and say, okay, this test is done. So now I can update this test to be verified. Once the test is in the status to be verified, so the monitors will be able to find this ID, the unique ID, and then they will perform the monitoring by saying, okay, based on the evidence you provide, this test is success or this test is failed. So this is globally how the test looks like. But just to show you that no p-test, you don't need to select any partner, and peer-to-peer test, you need to select your country partner because it's important for your reporting. One more details also before I come to before I close the test plan. Last year, I have several questions from the participant that ask me, for example, why, just one, excuse me. Excuse me. For example, last year I have a question from the participant. They asked me, okay, why the other country execute some tests in our system? Because when they, just one moment, if I go to the Brazil, for example, test plan, Brazil, they are create or they will create the IPS VAC, IPS LAC, and so on. But sometimes in this part, IPS consumer, they will see a reference of a test instance created by others country. So they don't understand why this reference comes to our test plan. It's normal because we are in the P2P, we are in the interoperability testing. Interoperability testing, that means you are testing with others country, you are testing with others partner, like a peer-to-peer, for example. And the others partner, if they test with your file server, if they send some query ITI 67 or ITI 68 in your file server, you need to be aware that this country, Colombia or Uruguay, they send some transaction in the Brazil file server. So that information will be provided by Gazelle here. It's not in a test instance you execute, but it's a test instance executed by others country in order to query in your to send some query in your server, terminology server or file server. So this will happen only in the peer-to-peer testing. Okay, so don't be surprised if you see some test instance, some ID in your test plan. If you don't understand, we can explain you, but it's totally normal. And in your report, we will report that you execute the IPS LAC and IPS VAC, and you send some ITI 65 from your system to another system. But we will tell you also that others country, this country, Colombia, Brazil, Uruguay, Suriname, they also send some transaction to your file server. So that means your file server can respond to the others client. So it's important for us to know if your file server can send some response message to coming from others country. So this will be part of your report. So globally, by the end of this week, all the test plan will be fully complete, and then you can start going to this button, test execution. And from the test execution, you can see for each profiles, you can search and check how the test description looks like. But do not execute any tests because the test will be executed from next week. So if you just want to see the description of the test, just click on this option, the Y option, and you will get access to the full description of the test. Okay, and from next week you will execute the test instance, and the monitors will start monitoring the test. So this is globally how the text plan looks like. If you have any question, maybe we can come to your question at the end of the presentation. Just one more information before I switch to the daily event objectives is as I said, we already configure, we already assign the proxy port in your terminology server and your file server, and you already start testing if the proxy can forward a message to your terminology server, or if the Gazelle proxy can forward the message to your file server. This test is already done. The results we have is for the Happy File server, the test works for all countries except 2. It's Barbados and Costa Rica. For Costa Rica, the connection Costa Rica file server has refused the Gazelle proxy connection. So we need to check this week what's happened. For Barbados, we the the connection takes time, so the time is the delay we have for time is delayed, so we don't have any response. So for these two countries, we need to check what's happened. But for the rest, during the event, Gazelle will be able to forward any message coming from others country to your file server. For terminology server, it works for all countries except Chile. The connection has been refused. Costa Rica, Guatemala, and Panama. And also for Peru, we have a message you are unable to access to our file server. So only these 5 countries the test for these 5 countries are failed, but for the rest it's okay. And for Uruguay, of course, we don't have any URL for the terminology server. Okay, so this is globally how the test plan looks like. So for the preparatory stage, you don't have anything to do. If you want to send some query ITI 6078 to the Gazelle to the Gazelle MPI, you can use this IP address and this port to check if your transaction works or not. And after that, once you send your transaction, you have the proxy here available here, the Raxel proxy. All the message you will send during the event will come to this menu, the new message list menu. And from this menu, you can you can search by the proxy port we assign you. For example, let's suppose we assign for Belize we assign you 11024. So you can select 11024 here, and then if you select your port, you'll be able to see all the message you receive or all the message you send from this port. Okay, so once you receive the message, you have this button, access detail, and from access detail you can here you have the HTTP response. So you can move to the request response by clicking this button. So you have the request, and then if I want to move to the response, the request from the response, I can click on this button. If you want to have access to the content of your HTTP response, you have this option, this section, content. And if you go to content, you have the content of your message with some parameters that we will fix it afterwards. And from here, you can validate your message by using this button. And here you can select full payload or body only if you want. And here you can select your validator, the message. If you are on the TC1, for example, you need to select PDQM and then click on validate. If you are testing MHG 65 or 67, 68, you can select this validator. And after that, Gazelle will provide you the report of your validation. But anyway, the proxy is accessible here. You have this menu, and from this menu, you can search by your IP address. You can filter by your port address we assign you. It's whatever you want. It's really up to you. And once you find your message, go to access detail section here and switch from the request to the response. Read the content. If you want, you can download the content, and then you can validate the content by using this button. So globally, this is how the testing will go on next week. But don't worry, you will be not alone next week. The monitor will be there. The IHE team also will be there. And then we can provide you some support on how to find your request in the proxy, how to execute your test, and so on. So this is globally the test plan. So now let's switch to the daily objective. So for the daily objective, the first day, we will have a quick introduction and welcome from Fernando and Pablo at 1:30 p.m. And after we will take 15 minutes, and after that, Carlos and I will remind you the daily objectives, and then there are some slides that Carlos will share with you. some information, some additional information. And after that presentation, those two presentations, so you have 3 hours to perform the TC1, TC2, TC3, TC4, and TC5. And if you have any question, IHE team will be there. The monitor will be will be there also. But if you, for example, you finish your TC5 in 1 hour, for example, you finish all tests, you don't need to wait for tomorrow. You can switch to the TC6. This is just a plan, but you are free. You are flexible to do to continue your tests. If you can do all tests in the same day, yes, you can do it. But in the organization, I think you will need time to execute one by one the tests. So this is how we divide it. But if you finish TC5, please switch to the TC6, TC7. You don't need to wait for a day to complete this test. And at the end of the day, I will give you an update of the status of the Conectaton testing. And the day after, Carlos and I will provide the daily objectives at 9. And after that, you can, if you don't have time to finish your test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so we'll let you finish it. After that, you can switch to the TC6, TC7 to TC12. And at the end of the day, also, we'll have an update of the status of the testing. And the last day, same open, we have the daily objective with Carlos and me. After that, you need to complete the second day objectives and then finalize the track 2 by executing the test TC13 and TC14. And after that, it's very important. That's something we do during all Conectaton and all Conectaton. We will close the test session at 5. That means at 5 p.m. you want to be able to execute any test in Gazelle. Gazelle will be blocked. You want to be able to execute any test. The monitor won't be able to monitor any test, but we will let you know 10 minutes before we close the session. Of course, we will remind you that, oh, okay, the test session will be closed in 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 seconds. And from the test, from 10 seconds, we will start the countdown. The countdown will be done by someone from IDB. It can be Pablo or Fernando, or last year it was Jennifer. But IDB will decide who will do the countdown. But once the countdown is done, Gazelle will be closed. You want to be able to do anything. So from this time, we start preparing the final results of the event that will be presented at the end of the day during the award ceremony by Pablo and Fernando. But before that, I will provide just some update of the results. But I want to go into the detail. But because I would like to keep the suspense for the award ceremony, and Pablo and Fernando will give you the detail of the results. So this is the program of the 3 days. So now the report publication. What's happened after the event? After the event, we'll provide 2 reports. The final report, the global report, sorry, with all tests, how many tests did we execute for each track, what did we achieve, what was good, what was wrong, and so on. So this is the global status. And also each country will receive its own status, its own report, sorry. So for your report, the report you will receive, it looks like the report you received last year. In that report, will give you all the detail of your testing. Okay, all the reference of the test instance you execute during the event. How many tests did you execute? What are the which test is failed? Which test is passed? What are the comments of the monitors? Because the monitor, when they perform the grading, they will provide you. Sometimes they can provide you some comments why this test is partially verified, why this test is failed. And also, if you perform some peer-to-peer tests, in that report, we will tell, okay, for example, on ITI 68, your files, these country, Colombia, Uruguay, and Brazil, they send some query in your file server, and the query that they sent was failed or passed or something like this. So you will have all the information about all tests done with your file server and all the tests you execute from your system to the others file server. Everything that happened to your country system will be in that report. And after that, at the end of the report, we will add some comment to say, okay, for example, if you, for example, on ITI, on TC1, for example, everything is successful. So we say, okay, the implementation of the profile PGQM in your system is successful because all the tests you execute during the event is successful. Otherwise, we can say also, if the TC1 is failed, you can say, okay, the implementation of the PDQM profile, this actors is failed in your system because you were not able to send the ITI 78 from your system to the MPI. So these are the comment we can provide in your report. And after that, we'll have another comment, some comment from Raxel or from IHE that says, okay, you success the implementation of the track one, or you failed the track one. It can happen. So let's see next week what's happened. But I hope everything will be green for each country. That's what we hope. That's our goal. And yeah, but anyway, in the report you will have all the information: what is wrong, what is failed, what is passed, which country, the name of the country. You will have the name of the monitor who performed the monitoring, the comment from the monitor, the status provided by the monitor, and everything. So this is the final report, and the final report will be provided generally around 20 days, sorry, excuse me, 2 weeks after the event, 2 weeks, between 2 weeks and 3 weeks after the event, and it will be sent by Carlos to you. Okay. So this is globally what I wanted to share with you. Please, we have 10 minutes left. If you have any question concerning the test plan, the tooling, the final report, I'm here to answer to your question. And next week, before we start the testing, also, I will provide you with one document, as we did last year, to explain, to remind you how to execute the test in Gazelle. And the monitors will be there to guide you, to give you some support. I will be there also. So, yeah, we'll see how it will, how things will go on next week, but normally everything should be okay. So thank you for your attention. This is what I wanted to share. If you have any question, I'm open. Back to you, Carlos.
Thanks, Souleymane. I'm going to switch to Spanish for the final words. Les compartí en el chat la agenda versión actualizada desde la página del VID. Ojo que, como suele suceder, hay ajustes de algunos bloques. Remítanse siempre al link de VID. Ahí va a estar la agenda más actualizada, también asociado a lo que es el evento Conectaton. Respecto a lo que se muestra ahora, hay algunas diferencias que ya están en la agenda actualizada. Por ejemplo, la segunda jornada es todo el día. No comienza desde las 2 de la tarde. La primera es la que comienza 1:30, 2 de la tarde, ¿no? Para que siempre se remitan a esa agenda oficial. Como suele suceder, va un poco variando en los últimos días los ajustes finales. Eso, y bueno, esta sesión va a quedar grabada y disponible para quienes quieran revisitarlo o compartirla con sus colegas. Tenemos algo de tiempo para algunas consultas. No sé si hay alguna pregunta en particular. Aprovechar que tenemos a Souleymane acá. Si no, podemos ir cerrando la sesión. Manos levantadas. Bien, como bien saben, esta semana, bueno, es la última semana previa al evento, enfocarse en las tareas que el equipo de monitores les está asignando. Son tareas críticas para llegar con un nivel al menos mínimo para ejecutar las pruebas. Hay otros que están bastante avanzados. Ahí apareció una consulta. Souleymane, you have a question on the chat.
Yeah. We can go to the test before event. Yes, you can do it, but you can do it from Thursday because we are still writing the test, the content of the test. So from Thursday you can start. You can start going into the testing and so on. And also, what I forget to tell you also, you have another. We create another session. That's the demo session. Sorry. We go back to the production. Login. Okay. So once you are in the production session, you have this button, join another session, and here you have the demo testing. In the demo testing, but it's different because in the demo testing you will not find you'll find the same test. So okay, so let's wait for Thursday. From Thursday, Carlos will send you an email, and from Thursday you'll be able to go to your test plan and see how it looks like. But please do not execute the test. You can just click on this button to the blue button to see the description of the test. At this time, all tests are in draft. We are still writing the test, and from Thursday it will be okay. Any more question? Yeah, I have another question, but it is in Spanish.
I could translate to you. It's related to if we can validate connection problems between the terminological servers from Peru. Are you reaching the?
Yeah, for this, it says you are unable to access to Minsa gov.peru. That's the error message we receive. But I need to check with the technical team. Otherwise you can I can provide you the proxy IP address and then the proxy port, and then you can perform the transaction and see if you get a response or not. Is that okay with you?
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
CF, I don't know if you're there. Let me switch to Spanish, sorry. Bueno, para el equipo de Perú, John, tratar con su equipo de monitores también de hacer eso. ¿Vale? Pidamos la URL del proxy y podemos hacer algunos tests adicionales. Lo coordinamos con Lucía y con el resto del equipo. Una pregunta adicional. Esta semana justamente para eso, afinar los últimos detalles, tratar de avanzar en algunos pendientes y los que ya no alcanzaron a levantar sus llaves, recordar remitirse a su equipo de monitores, que vamos a tratar de hacer una carga manual con cada uno de los monitores asignados. Bien, creo que podemos finalizar la sesión, no veo más preguntas, manos levantadas. Ánimo y nos estamos viendo la próxima semana, ya nos queda nada. Así que espero que todos tengan muy buen viaje. Thank you very much, Souleymane. See you soon. See you in another.
Okay, thank you. See you tomorrow, Carlos. See you. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. See you tomorrow.
Nos vemos.